Actually, yeah, one of my other questions was, is there anything that significantly speeded up your creative process?
Yes.
Shortcuts.
Yes. Shortcuts is one of them, specifically one shortcut or
Ooh.
a set of 3 shortcuts.
Yeah.
So in Premiere, there's a tool called the razor tool, and you use it to kind of cut clips. And when I started editing, I would cut the clip and then I would drag it to where I wanted it to stop, which is a super slow way of editing.
Yeah.
Then I found out that with Q and with E on your keyboard, wherever your playhead is, if you press Q, it'll cut everything before your playhead. Oh, sorry, Q and W. And if you press W, it'll cut everything after the playhead. And then, so I was using that for a while, and I was still like switching to the razor tool to cut, and then I would just cut up to that point. Then I found another shortcut, Control K, that just cuts straight through the clip wherever the playhead is. So now I just go cut, drag the playhead to wherever it needs to go, and then Q or W, depending on which direction I'm going. So I've taken what would take about 30 seconds down to like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, same things with all my programs. So I use Pro Tools and Logic. So I haven't really gotten that great at shortcuts because I'm using 2 completely different sets of shortcuts.
That's the advantage I have with Adobe is most of the shortcuts
are all the same.
Transfer.
Yeah. But just really anything that reduces your time to, like, if you're making a new track, just go Control Shift N rather than going to track new.
Yeah.
Or editing with cutting audio. If you have a certain like setting selected on Pro Tools, you can just hit at the playhead, hit B, and it'll break it. Yeah, and just splits it. But yeah, just any shortcuts really, anything they just make life so easy.
Yeah, I think shortcuts. Whenever people ask me, how do I improve my video editing? Shortcuts.
Yeah,
100% shortcuts. Also, learning how to do in-camera transitions.
In-camera
is a big one. If you shoot to edit, you'll make your life so much easier. Like for example, one that a lot of movies use is obscuring the camera as it goes past, and then so ending the scene by obscuring the camera, and then starting the next scene by also obscuring the camera. So say that a character is walking through like a forest or something. They're walking through a forest, and then the camera pans behind a tree, and then when everything goes dark as it pans behind the tree, it cuts to another shot of people walking through a city, and it comes out from behind a building. That sort of thing. So if you're shooting to edit, and this obviously only works if you're the person shooting. Yeah. But also if you're shooting for an editor, make their job easy. Yeah. But as, independent filmmakers, you're basically going to be doing everything. So shoot to edit and you'll make your life significantly easier. Yeah. Yeah. That's my big advice. Nice. Also, learning how to do, for podcasts specifically, learning how to do, actually I use it for a lot now. Learning how to do multicam sequences in Premiere. It is super easy, but the setting is kind of hidden. So if you have multiple cameras shooting the same thing at the same time, a lot of the time with DSLRs and stuff, time codes are just not very good. So you need to sync the audio from the camera. Right. So you can do that by highlighting all the clips that you want to be a multicam sequence. Then you right click them and press create multicam nest sequence, I think is the full thing. Yep. And then it'll ask you how you want to sync the tracks, and you get like in point, out point, time code, or audio in. And then you go audio in, and you press OK, and your computer will process it. It'll take like 5 to 10 minutes, and then you can just switch cameras with your numpad. Wow. So that's the biggest thing that I did for the podcast, because when I had to do stuff before that, I would layer the tracks on top of each other in the track view, and then I would just cut whichever ones I didn't want to see, and it would take forever. Yeah, like forever. And like now you pretty much just edit it live. Yeah, now I'm just editing it live. I just watch through the episode and I just edit it, and then if something doesn't feel right, I'll just go back slightly and then redo that section. That sort of thing. Jeez. Yeah. So easy. Yeah. Yeah. Which makes my life significantly easier. That's a good tip for if you're filming like interviews or broadcasts or really anything where you would have more than one camera. So obviously not very useful for short films and stuff, unless you're filming dialogue at the same time. Yeah. Which you can do, but don't. separate camera angles will be significantly easier
Mm.
and more interesting rather than anyway. That's not the point. But yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, my biggest advice would just be shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts are the best.
Shortcuts. Also, invest in a set if you're gonna do a show. Having
Yes.
a proper, especially if you're actually just invest in your space. I'm just gonna say that invest in your space
And yourself. Just
Yeah.
invest in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean space specifically because
For-
when I got like a proper desk and like this was like when I got a desk and like actually got like shelves and drawers and stuff for all places for all my stuff, stuff for all my things. It just like something clicked in my head.
And
It's
just like this is no longer multi-purpose. This is
yes, this is now my space.
Yeah.
And this is what it's supposed to be used for.
Right.
And it just it kind of increased my work ethic because now I'm like, oh, if I'm in here,
You got it. Yeah.
I should be working.
Yeah. Nice.
But obviously, be healthy about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't just be like, I'm really bad with that.
Yeah.
With like time management and stuff. Like I'm like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. I should probably stop. But I could just write this another scene. It's probably fine. And then I like look at the clock and it's 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I have work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good.
Did you want to segue into something?
Yeah. Let's move away from industry hacks.
Yes.
And just
Yeah, we're talking about industry hacks. Michael Bay. Sorry, that was.
that was my.
I'm
name
kidding.
for-
I actually like Michael Bay. That was just a joke. He's just an easy target.
No, that's my new name for the tips and tricks. Is
Michael Bay.
No, industry hacks.
You know what? That makes much more sense.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Industry hacks. I like industry hacks.
Yeah.
You should make a theme song for industry hacks.
I should.
Yeah,
I'm going to.
do it because all of the ones I've made so far.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the sound guy, so I should probably do something about that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But we've given enough industry hacks this episode,
I agree,
think,
yeah.
so I'm not going to share any of them.
No more for free. Go to the Patreon.
No, yeah. But I watched this really.
Actually, sorry. We'll talk about the rest of them in the after show. How about that?
Okay.
All right, we'll talk about the rest of our industry hacks in the after show,
And
which you
there-
can check out on Patreon at patreon.com/thefroe show.
And there are some really good audio ones in here, like
Oh, good. So audio people get on that.
particularly if you're recording, like with COVID, you can't record in the one space. So if you're recording different people in different areas, you want to listen to this.
All right, so go to patreon.com/thefroe show to check that one out.